So right now, there hasn't been a deal announced between the US and Iran. And even that didn't happen, oil is dropping and stock market futures are popping. What does this mean for the stock market for Micron, Nvidia, AMD, Palantir, Sofi, stocks that we talk about on this channel? We'll cover this. Also, what is happening this week and how this could affect the stock market. And one of those stocks that I just mentioned is part of a ETF that seems to be the fastest growing ETF of all time. What does this mean going forward in the future? We'll talk about that as well. Please read the disclaimer. So right now, even though it's Memorial Day and there's no stock market, so stock market only starting on Tuesday this week, right? We have seen futures go up. And if we look at oil, oil has dropped to 90 for crude oil. Brent is under 100. Also, for the first time, basically since, when was this? May 6th. So almost 20 days ago, last time we were under 100. And the big drop off was when the ceasefire was announced by President Trump. That was when we dropped all the way down to 86. Now, it will be very interesting to see what happens over the next 48 hours because we did not get any concrete details about the agreement yet. And the tweets that President Trump is giving makes me even less confident about a peace deal. We are with markets closed today, so it would be surprising if he does announce anything today on Memorial Day. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting. And this roller coaster, right? Whoa, continues for the stock market. We do have this Thursday PC inflation data that is coming out. That's the preferred Fed indicator of inflation. And we'll see how new Fed chair Kevin Warsh reacts to PC inflation and also US Q1 2026 GDP data. Right now, according to two sources close to Trump, negotiation team says Trump is now completely backing away from the US-Iran deal under extreme internal pressure from Israel and US domestic allies, urging him not to accept Iran's terms. After this, Trump posted an image of a Mark 84 bomb and a fighter jet with the signature, "Thank you for your attention to this matter," catchphrase stenciled directly on the bomb there. On Truth Social, Iran earlier warned already that the agreement will be completely canceled due to ongoing US obstruction on key clauses. And he also tweeted out, "If I make a deal with Iran, it will be a good and proper one, not like the one made by Obama, which gave Iran massive amounts of cash and a clear and open path to a nuclear weapon. Our deal is the exact opposite, but nobody has seen it or knows what it is. It isn't even fully negotiated yet, so don't listen to the losers who are critical about something they don't know nothing about. Unlike those before me who should have solved this problem many years ago, I don't make bad deals." So now the big question is going to be, is there going to be a deal at all? Or is this just another tactic to bring down the 10-year yields that jumped over 4.5%? Let this settle for a few weeks, let the yields come down, and then do something. So we'll see how all of this plays out. Again, I'm not a prophet. I don't know exactly what's going to happen to the stock market. Just 24 hours ago, everyone was happy. I was like, yes, stock market, we're going to get a good opening there on Tuesday morning because there's going to be a deal announced and all that. And now 24 hours later, it's totally shift to now being a little bit more cautious, being less optimistic about what could potentially happen. We are seeing, though, that some tankers are leaving the Strait of Hormuz bound for Pakistan and China. So I'm thinking that there might be a situation where they make some sort of intermediate deal that opens up the strait in a certain way. Oil prices can come down. And then later they start negotiating the nuclear issue, which is the hardest issue. And I don't know if it's going to get ironed out in 2-3 days. I think this could be a week's process of them going back and forth. And there's going to be some compromise. I don't think Iran is going to totally disarm because if you have they're not in like a dire situation, right? Where they would just give that up. So I don't think that that's going to happen. And that's something that Trump said that it was, one of his points that if that doesn't happen, no deal. But you know how it is. Sometimes compromises, right? So we'll see what happens with that and how that could potentially move the markets. Now, right now, again, futures are in the green. Futures are trading right now, even though there's no trading on the stock market. Futures are traded today, and like I said, also oil and silver and gold also are up today as oil drops, and this comes off of if there is potential for conflict, then usually we see silver prices and gold prices come up a little bit. So that will be interesting to see. If we go and we look at our favorites here, it will be interesting to see what happens with Nvidia. How does Nvidia open up the week? Where does it touch? Does it touch the support level and then bounce off of that? That's going to be interesting. AMD had new all-time highs. What happens with that? Does it create a new all-time high? Tesla, very interesting. Had a nice run up and then a pullback here, also in sort of a trend channel, you could say, some sort of a trend line there. So that will be interesting to see what happens with the Tesla. Of course, we got Micron, SanDisk are close to highs. And if we go and we look, memory chip fund, it has SanDisk and Micron, have accumulated a huge amount of value in a very short period of time. Memory chip fund is now the fastest growing ETF in history. The memory ETF DRAM accumulated 6.5 billion in assets in just 27 trading sessions since April 2nd launch, faster than any ETF in history. By comparison, the Bitcoin ETF, IBIT, which previously held this record, took 30 trading sessions to cross that threshold. DRAM is now up 84% since April 2nd, topping a record 10 billion in assets over 13 trading sessions. Furthermore, the fund ranks among the top 10 US ETFs by year-to-date inflows at over 5,000 listed funds. DRAM is also now in the top 20 most traded ETF by volumes, up from 34th traded at the start of May. The memory chip trade is hotter than ever. And this is going to be interesting to see how long this continues. I just read something and kind of a conversation between someone that I follow that he's like an option whisperer, Orlando. I think I've mentioned him before on the channel. He was talking about how he thinks that potentially we're going to see a pullback here in the markets. And someone mentioned that potentially this could be after the midterm elections, where we'll see if, when history hits us, it tells us that the stock market usually does good. Doesn't matter Republican or Democrat, but it does good when the president's Democrat and the House and Senate are Democrat. And when it's Republican. But when it's mixed, that's when the stock market has troubles because of the uncertainty, because of the fact that not a lot can get done in that current situation. It also means that the United States is kind of in this transition. It doesn't know where it wants to go. And then that's when usually the stock market has troubles. So if we get past the midterm elections and the results are mixed, and if the Republicans lose the House and the Senate, then that could be a tricky situation. And then we could see a lot of money flowing out because of the fear that not a lot is going to be able to get done. And so that is going to be a very interesting situation. It will be funny if it stays Republican and it also drops down. But that could be a possibility as well. So again, I'm not a prophet. I don't know exactly how the markets are going to play out. I don't know how the stock market is going to play out. It's been a very, very wild run over the past few months since the low here, even before, of course, even since 2025, that low there, April 2025, it was a crazy run. Like even if you take that, it was even more, right? So it went 45% in a year, and this run so far, it's been 20% in 3 months. So it feels like, wow, this is a crazy run. But the fact is that most of the run that we are feeling is coming from stocks like Micron, stocks like AMD, that's up 140% in those 48 days. If you take the low there in April of 2025, wow, 1,196% a run there for Micron since that low on the tariff fears. Remember that? There were tariff fears. How fast that got squashed, right? But then we moved to something else that was fearful. There's always something that is making the markets fearful. So it will be very interesting to see what happens here in the next coming days, and we'll find out deal or no deal. As always, remember this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Also, remember that subscribe to the channel and to drop a comment or smash that like button. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.